be honest with you, I woke up, um, like my sinuses. It felt like there was a golf ball of mucus behind my eyeballs and my nose.
Yeah.
Not even a golf ball, it's like a melon. Like it just felt like my head was full of like styrofoam. I don't even know how to describe it.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like when I woke up this morning.
Mhm.
And I discovered that I left one of the windows open for the cats.
Mm.
Because when they look out the window or whatever. But yeah, so I had my humidifier going because usually that settles me during this time of year.
Mhm.
But yeah, I woke up and I was like late for work. I called my boss. I'm like, hey, can I come in at 9 o'clock? Because I do not feel too good. They're like, yeah, sure, you can come in. Just get here when you get here. And I got there and I was working fine. And then about 2:30, I crashed. And I'm like, I can't do this. And she was like, yeah, you look like shit, literally. And I was like, all right, I'm about to go
Oh,
home.
so we're both
But yeah,
we're both playing injured right now. Okay.
yeah,
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 that makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah, so everybody, I know we started the podcast in the middle of a conversation, but yeah, so I've been sick the last couple days. I've had like a stomach bug. I think it was food poisoning. I'm not 100% sure, but like I've had stomach nausea and some diarrhea the last couple days. So it's not been a fun week for me. And my air conditioner is fucking not working right now, so it's like super hot in my house, or has been the last few days. So that's great. And yeah, Montrell's sick too, apparently. So we're recording though. We're recording. We don't have a choice really, because I'm going out tomorrow, pretty much all day. So and I
Yeah,
think you
just be
moved
careful
some.
what you eat out there, man. I know.
Jesus, I know, dude. Yeah, I'm hoping I'll be okay in the morning, and I can just kind of do the normal thing, but
Yeah,
we'll see about that. So, but yeah, I think you have plans tomorrow as well. So we moved our recording day around to accommodate.
yeah,
So
yeah. So,
we gotta do this today. Well, Montreal, outside of being sick, I mean, how's life?
I have the house to myself. So Deanna's out of town for a couple of
Okay.
days. So it's just been me and the cats, and yeah, it's been cool. I mean, uh, yeah, except for yesterday, I've been okay.
Hmm.
It's just oddly quiet around here, but yeah. So besides that, I've been okay. I've been playing some video games. I'm really coming to. I'll get to it when I talk about it, but I'm coming to a crossroads in one game on my list, which is
Mm-hmm.
Xenoblade.
Uh-oh. Is that a good
But
crossroads or a bad crossroads?
it's more like a I'm ready to move on
Oh, okay. I
crossroads.
get you. I get you.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, we'll get into that in a bit.
yeah. But besides that, life has been okay. Work's been balanced out. A lot of projects got pushed back,
Hmm.
which is really good. If they got pushed back now and they don't start up by November, they're probably not going to start up to January. So which is good. So
All right.
I'm just waiting for that to happen. But yeah,
Well,
how about you?
I'm good. Besides being sick, I'm supposed to be on vacation right now, so living through sickness during a PTO period is never fun. But I'm actually gonna be. I forgot to tell you about this before the show, but I'm actually gonna be out of town next week. I'm going to Chicago for a work trip. For like the whole week, Monday through Friday.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'm gonna be gearing up for that. But we got to figure out what we're doing for next week's episode.
Oh, okay. I mean,
um,
if you want me to record solo, I can do that.
yeah, we can do that, or I can try to record from my hotel probably, but it will be pretty bad audio. Um,
I think didn't I do that one time
I
when I had
think
the
you
work
did.
trip out there?
I think
Yeah.
you did. Yeah, I think you may have. But yeah, we can talk about that after the episode. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I will be probably not doing a lot of gaming next week as a result, but we'll see how that
Gotta get
goes.
your gaming in this week, man. You gotta
I
play
know
with us.
what that's what I'm trying
Play
to
some
do,
Overwatch
man,
with
but
us, man.
fucking
They
being sick, dude, it's like I didn't want to do anything yesterday. It was like I just kind of was sitting around like bleh, the whole day. It's like
Yeah.
when you're sick, you just like you're like lethargic, you can't
Oh
even
yeah, yeah.
I couldn't even muster the energy to like turn my PlayStation on, like literally. So
Yeah,
Oh
you know
yeah,
you're sick when you can't play video games. Yeah,
yeah,
that's my barometer for like
right.
being sick. I'm like, damn, can I even play my video games? No, I can't. I
Dude, yeah,
can't
no,
even play my
seriously.
Switch.
All I could do, the only thing I could muster my energy to do was like watch a TV show. You know, like I
Yeah.
didn't, I like that's all I could. And that yeah, you're totally right. That's where you know where you're like really sick, dude. Like you don't even want to do your favorite thing. So yeah, but so yeah, but all right, hi everybody. Welcome to the Player's Take. This is episode 191. I'm your host, Justin DeSimone, joined by my co-host. We're both sick, Montrell Rice. Um, and I don't know, let me just get in the rigmarole real quick and then we'll get into the show. So we post at 6 a.m. Central Time on Fridays on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, favorite podcast app of choice. And if you'd like to send us questions, you can do so on Twitter at The Player's Take, or you can send us an email to theplayerstake01@gmail.com, and we will read them on the show and answer your questions here on the show as we normally do. Montreal, so this is probably going to be a bit of a shorter episode. Like we said, we're both kind of feeling a little under the weather, and there's really not a lot of news this week. So I know we had a really long episode last week with DJ. So if you did not listen to that and you're looking for something a bit longer, check that one out for sure. That was close to 3 hours, I
Yeah.
think, by the end of
This
it.
one's
So
probably gonna be super short, but yeah,
yeah,
that one was like 3 hours. So
yeah. We had a lot of news last week to talk about. Montreal, I guess let's get into it, man. You want to let's talk about what we've been playing. I think this is probably going to cover most of our time
yeah,
today. You want to go first?
yeah. So I've been playing Xenoblade Chronicles, and I'm at the point where so I think I'm in chapter 6 now. So I got through the parts that you were talking about, and those parts were really cool in the story.
Yeah.
I think I'm in chapter 6. So
You're talking about the
uh,
prison, right?
yeah, the prison. I
Okay.
thought that was pretty cool. And then after the prison, what happened after that? That was really interesting. That was some, I don't want to say Game of Thrones shit. It was some I don't know. It was some very anime shit that
Hmm.
happened, but it was like the good anime, some Naruto shit. Like, oh, I
Yeah.
remember when I switched bodies back here and this happened. You're like, oh
Yeah.
fuck, okay,
Yeah.
that was really cool. I did like that part, and then I like the reasoning why um N and L look the way they look and all that other stuff like that. I thought that was actually pretty cool. I mean, when they revealed the faces, I'm like, duh, I knew who it was.
Hmm.
I knew who it was,
Yeah.
but that wasn't the reveal. The big reveal was the motivations and everything behind it. So I actually thought that was really cool. So I'm actually and uh I saw the queen, the true queen, and I was like, "Yo, that's crazy!" So I like that part too because it's one of
Hmm.
my favorite characters
Yeah.
from one of the past games. I'm
Hmm.
not spoiling it for who he was, but yeah. So yeah, so I like that part. So now I'm on the part where you can either go to the main adventure or do some side stories, and I'm about to do some side story content. But I'm tempted to just do the main adventure because I really just want to
This is
finish the
where I
game.
broke
Yeah,
when I was playing the game. I was doing most of the side content up until this point in the game, and then the game like opens up significantly again. There's like two
yeah,
gigantic areas they give you access to, and I was like, I can't do any more of
yeah.
this, bro. I just started blasting through it at this point in the game.
Yeah, and I think I'm almost at that point too. Because I'm really trying to look for these classes, but then I unlock one class, which is the Soul Hacker class, which is super in depth. I'm like, this is a whole nother game in itself because his class, he can change his class within the class. So he starts out as an attacker, but then you can morph him into a tank, or you can morph
Oh
him
yeah.
into a fucking healer, or whatever the case may
Okay.
be.
I don't think I
I don't
ever
know if you got
unlocked
that.
that one, dude. That's
Okay, yeah, yeah. So you can morph him into almost anything you want to, and he
Mhm.
learns abilities based off the monsters you fight. So he can learn those abilities permanently.
Hmm. So like a
So
blue mage kind of thing,
you say what? I'm sorry.
like a blue mage from Final Fantasy kind of thing.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and he keeps them though instead of like I think the blue mage you get rid of them after the end of the fight, right?
No, they keep them. It's not a so depending on the game, they've done it differently in different Final Fantasies. Sometimes it's
Okay,
permanent, sometimes it's like a charge you get where you can use it a certain number of
okay.
times, and then it's
Yeah, no,
gone. But
he unlocks the move permanently, so he can unlock certain moves from certain monsters and copy it, and like that's his move. It's in his arsenal.
Okay.
So he can change his like you can change his literal class, and he can learn skills as well. So not only arts but skills. Um, so he can literally change his class to any class he wants to. And if you switch the soul hacker class to any one of your other people, they can learn all those abilities as well that he learned.
Yeah.
So um like I said, it's like a game within the game. Like I'm like, dude, what the fuck? Like this is super in depth. And I just don't feel like the game is big enough for all this. I mean, it's a big game, don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. But like I don't feel like the story content, even I'm playing on hard mode right now and I'm blasting through shit. And I just don't feel like the game's hard enough for that. And that class is mainly for like in game, you have nothing else to do. And like you want to like go around and get the 1114 monsters that are roaming around. You want to kill them.
Hmm.
And you want to min max all your characters. That's what that class is for. And I'm pretty sure there's other classes because I still didn't unlock like 10 more, or at least 5 or 6 more classes I didn't unlock. So my goal is to unlock all the classes, maybe not use them all, but like just unlock them and then do the final boss, or do the main chapters of the game or whatever. But I don't know because I really want to play Valkyrie Elysium that just
Yeah.
came out.
Yep.
I want to play the Wulong demo that just came out or that dropped a couple weeks ago. From Team Ninja, they dropped that demo and everything like that. And there's a couple other games that came out on the Switch as well. A lot of JRPGs that I just really want to get to, that just dropped. So it's like I I really want to get to these games, and I really want to be finished with this game before 2 weeks from now because that's when Bayonetta drops. So uh, I just got to get through a lot of games right
Hmm.
now,
Yeah.
um, because to be honest with you, I know God of War comes out like 2 weeks before Sonic, but is it weird that I'm like super excited for Sonic, and I'm still excited for God of War? Don't get me wrong, but like I'm super excited for Sonic Frontiers because I heard nothing but good news
I
about
mean,
it.
I'm in the same boat, dude. Like I'm dude, I mean, I was making a joke about it, but dude, I'm like chomping at the bit for Tactics Ogre to come out, dude. Like and I know like God of War I think comes out either the same day or within a couple days of it, and I'm like,
Yeah,
you know, I want to play it. The last trailer definitely got me hyped, but I'm like not I don't know. I'm not like
you because you know it's gonna be a good game,
yeah,
right?
right,
Like you
right.
know it's gonna be a good game, and it's like something about Tactics Ogre and like Sonic Frontiers, like you even though you played Tactics Ogre already,
That's my
it's something
shit,
about
dude.
playing.
That is
Yeah,
my
that's like your
shit, right?
shit.
And the
Yeah,
same with you with Sonic, right? Like
yeah,
that's
that's my shit. Like I
right.
just love Sonic, so yeah, I'm excited. But the next game I'm playing obviously is Apex Legends. We can probably talk about it a little bit now, but I don't really have any quarrels with the game. Like I mean, obviously besides the hacker and slash smurfing situation that's going on, which is
Mhm.
probably never going to go away at this point, which they have addressed, but I mean, respawn is going to respawn. So
Not adequately.
yeah, not adequately. Um, but this is more so not on the respawn team itself, but more so in the community. And just the way, like I said, gamings have been progressing in general. I'm really sick of like pro players. I think, unfortunately, this affected my other game that I've been playing, which is Overwatch 2, which I'll get to in a minute. But keyboard when you're playing on controller, regardless if you're on PC or console, if for Overwatch at least, when you queue up with PC players in some mixed lobby, aim assist is turned off. Now, if anybody grew up playing first person shooters, regardless of how good you were or whatever, aim assist was there. There was always a slight aim assist there, and that's because it's hard to get precise aim
Mhm.
unless you're like in the gym, like all in the lab, all the way cooking. Like you just have to be in the lab and learn all that stuff. But for the casual player, like no, I mean, aim assist has always been there, and yeah, but now the community is up in arms, or the pro players rather are up in arms because I think the top 5 players of the pro scene are PC slash controller players. They play on PC, but they're on controller,
Mhm.
and I just don't feel like that's a big deal. In my experience, no matter if I have aim assist, I can have literal hacks, bro.
Yeah.
I feel like mouse and keyboard will always be better than controller. Like point blank period. Like there's no denying that. Like I just feel like they're complaining because they're losing to key controller players, and that's why they're getting upset. It's to the point now where they're actually advocating for Respawn to just disable crossplay. And I'm like, if they do that, if Respawn listens to these people, I'm not going to be able to play with you guys. I mean, I
Right.
will, but I have to go to
Literally.
the keyboard.
No,
Yeah,
no.
I have
I
to go
mean,
back
yeah,
to.
you'll have to switch platforms again, and I'm sorry, dude. That is like if they actually did that, I think they have totally jumped a shark, like in terms of listening to these people because I mean, it's clear they do listen to them. It's clear they do for
Yeah,
sure.
and that's why I'm so
Um,
scared because I think they do
yeah,
listen
but
to them, like you said.
that is a change that I think is so detrimental to the community that I can't conceivably understand like the logic if they were to go through with that,
Yeah.
me at least because we've played cross platform with you for a while now, since you started playing Apex again. And we played with Snakes for a while where he had to play on Xbox, that way
Yep.
as well when he was not he didn't live he didn't have his computer with him for a long time. That was the only way we could play with him, was
Hmm.
cross platform. And dude, it's just like I'm sorry, the whole isn't the whole point of cross platform is to like make the game accessible to people and allow
Exactly.
them to play with their friends. Like is like there's a certain point where they go too far with listening to these people. Like why would you turn that off in a game? Like I don't, maybe I could understand it in the highest echelons of like ranked play. I could understand it, like in
Yeah.
pred lobbies or something. I could get it, but in like norms or lower level ranked play, bro, like we're casual, you know?
Yeah.
Why are you
Exactly.
tuning the game for what competitive players want, for those of us who aren't in that grouping of people, that doesn't make any sense at all, and I think would be a massive detriment to the game, and its enjoyability, and just I mean, like we were saying, the accessibility of it. I think that would be a big mistake, and to be honest, the fact that Overwatch is doing it is kind of disappointing. Honestly, and I don't think I don't know like I don't that game feels more difficult than Apex probably to play that way too because there's so much
Oh my
movement
god.
in
Yes.
Overwatch. I know Apex is a high movement game, but it's a BR. There's giant open spaces, right? You're not in an arena necessarily. Overwatch
Mhm.
is tends to be your smaller enclosed spaces, lots of buildings you can duck in, alleys you can duck into, height, like verticality you can use and abuse, and then characters have movement abilities as well. I feel like it's much harder, probably in Overwatch, to play without aim assist than it would be in Apex. As a result, so I don't know. Not having played that game in a long time, maybe
Yeah.
things are different now, but that's what I
No,
remember of it.
it's exactly the same. To be honest, it's actually harder now. Now that like people have, established what the meta is, not the meta, but the meta for movement is, and whatever the case may be. I mean, that's with every game.
Hmm.
Um, so Uh, so yeah, switching gears from like Apex to Overwatch, I've actually had a lot of fun playing this. I had a full party yesterday of friends playing Overwatch 2. It was a mixed lobby. I think I was the only controller player, PlayStation 5 player, and everybody else was PC. Um, Even though I felt like my aim was off, I was
Yeah.
still hanging with them in terms of damage and like healing output because I love playing support in Overwatch 2, or in Overwatch in general. I love playing support. Um, I feel like I impact my team a lot more better when I do that. But yeah, I was just having a whole bunch of fun. This game, I think, is going to be our next game because all of us were just having a fucking blast. And DJ, by the way, is a fucking MLG pro. He was calling out shit and he was like the leader. He was the Jordan
Yeah.
of our team, bro. Like he was like telling us what to do, and we were winning games. Him and Andy was like it was like Kobe and Shaq. It was like Pippen and Jordan, and they were just like they were carrying me, Jet, and Brad, and but we were carrying ourselves too, and like in weight, and they were telling us what to do and stuff like
Hmm.
that. And
Yeah.
it's so much strategy involved with Overwatch, but in a fun way. It was just really fucking fun. And even when we lost, we didn't feel like shit. Like we were just like, oh, we got fucking dominated or whatever. Uh, but it just felt like it was a fair loss, it's compared to like Apex Legends. When we lose, we're like, yo, come on, bro. Like, why am I playing against these people?
Mhm.
Uh, so I don't know. I just had a lot of fun because DJ's MMR is like super high,
Yeah.
and we were in those lobbies, and we were still having fun. And we were still winning. So and when we have, I think when he said when we have a preset 5, it matches up with other preset 5 people throughout the
Ooh.
game.
Okay.
So yeah, we were just having fun. Some games we lost, some games we won. Uh, when me and Brad were just playing for the first couple hours, we were having fun. Like we were on Overwatch for like all night.
Yeah.
So I can't wait for you to play it because I think you will love it
Yeah,
as
I mean, I
well.
already downloaded it, so I'm down to play today after we're done, probably.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, so is the game still though? Is it a situation where you're changing characters constantly throughout the match?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, it is that
Yeah.
situation. I didn't mind that. So did you ever own Overwatch
Yeah.
1?
I did. I bought it
Okay.
on launch.
Okay, yeah. So you would have access to all the characters. People who owned Overwatch 1 from
Well,
their
I owned
previous
it on
Blizzard account.
PlayStation, so
Oh
if
shit.
I'm gonna play
Okay.
on PC, I don't know if that's gonna translate.
So what I did was I linked my PlayStation to my PC, and I think I'm gonna download it on PC just to verify.
Hmm.
But I think it does transfer over and combines both of those. It's account merger. They literally say it's an account merger.
Yeah.
So you merge your accounts. So
Hmm.
I don't know. But for me, I had all the characters unlocked. Only thing I didn't like about Overwatch 2 was, like I said, the aim assist for console players is turned off. So it makes the situation less enjoyable for a console player to be playing with PC.
Yeah.
I might just consider just downloading it. I think I am just going to download it on PC and play it on PC with you
Yeah.
guys when I'm playing it.
Okay.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
but yeah, but yeah. I mean, I think the game's really good. It's really fun. I didn't. I don't really see besides skins, I don't really like the battle pass. Well, besides the skins or whatever that you get from the battle pass, I don't think it's that big of a deal to me. Then again, I'm not in this community because like all you get is voice lines and everything like that and sprays. Only thing I want is skins. That's it. And you can
Yeah.
actually buy skins outright. You don't have to get them through the battle pass.
Yeah.
So I might just end up doing that if I want skins for the favorite characters for the characters I know I'm going to play the most. Which is way better than the loot box system in Overwatch 1, which I hated because I couldn't get certain skins for certain characters
Hmm.
unless it was like an event or they were doing something in the store. I don't even know if Overwatch 1 had a store when I first played it. I know they added one later, but I don't know if they had one when I was playing. I know they had a loot box system
Yeah.
still. But yeah, besides that though, I think the game's great. Like I think they did a good job with it. I know people are bitching about the whole account thing with the phone number. I think that's a good thing.
Get over it.
I just think Blizzard kind of hit it out the park with this game, except for with the aim assist shit. That's where my quarrels are at because I think it takes away the fun for crossplay. But besides that, I think
Well,
and the,
yeah.
and that's like and that to me it's bigger for other people than for me because I have the luxury of switching to PC. I have my PC built right here and I can play it, get the same frame rate and everything like that, no problem. But there are other people out there who just have a PS4 or a
Yeah.
PS5 or a
Yeah.
PS4 or Xbox and they don't have the luxury of switching over to a PC and they have PC friends. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Hopefully Blizzard
Well,
kind of changes that.
did you see? Okay, have you been seeing this at all on Twitter or out there on the internet where I'm seeing people complaining about the monetization in Overwatch 2 and crying that they want the loot boxes back?
Oh, wait, really? I think
Yes,
that's
dude, I am
terrible.
seeing this out there on Twitter consistently and I am fucking flabbergasted that like what are you guys talking about? Like how could you possibly think that the fucking loot box system in Overwatch 1 is more desirable? I don't care what they're doing with Overwatch 2. The game's fucking free, bro. Like the game is free. So I don't give a shit.
Exactly.
Like, you know? So yeah, there's been some weird shit going on out there that dude, this is what gamers do, man. This is what they do. This is why we are in the situation we're in with microtransactions, Montreal, is that they get us. They get us. Is that we get used to one thing, and even if it's the worst fucking thing imaginable, we're like, then they change it, and we're like, wait, no, I like the old system better, even though it's like worse for you. You know, it's like
Well, they can have a
I don't know.
hybrid system like Apex does, where we can go to the store, certain events happening, certain things are on
No,
sale. We can
Apex's
buy the
system is
skins.
horrible. I don't want any
Well, I
game.
mean, they have the loot box and they have the
I mean, I get
storefront.
what you're saying. They have the battle pass and they have loot boxes. They could do both theoretically, but I'm just saying in
Yeah,
general, the way Apex does monetization is fucking horrific.
yeah,
The game is absolutely awful with its monetization scheme, in my opinion. Like they are selling skins for $25, a single skin, you know, for like a fucking gun or a character. You know, they're totally psychotic in my opinion with that shit. But yeah, I don't know. I gotta see. I gotta see for myself what the battle pass looks like in this game. I don't care if it's bad though. The game is free. You know. Um, I'm not the kind of player. I don't really care that much about cosmetics in most of these games, especially first person shooters where you can't see your character. In League and Dota, I care a little bit more because I can see my character. You know. Um, so I actually get to enjoy my own skins rather than in these games, everyone else gets to enjoy my skin, not me. You know, it's like, so I don't know. I think skins in a first person game are kind of overrated as it stands now. Um,
yeah.
so yeah, I don't know. But yeah, the idea that you want loot boxes back is absolutely fucking insane to me. Um, I do want to go back to Apex real quick, because
Mhm.
there was a video that you sent that I watched about the matchmaking, where somebody did an interview or was talking about an interview they did with one of the Apex devs around
Yeah,
matchmaking, and he was talking about the dev had said some things about how the matchmaking is like that matchmaking system in the game is like hyper complicated, and they can't just like turn certain things off or turn them on. Like it's using like tons of different factors, and there's so many variables into how it decides who to matchmake with who in the
yeah.
game. I just kind of wanted to talk to you about this and see what you thought about it overall, because my thought on this was great. The matchmaking system is complicated, but bro, it doesn't work. So I don't care how complicated you've made it, you know, or how sophisticated it is, or how many factors it's looking at or taking into account. It doesn't work. So that's the most important thing of any matchmaking system, you know. And
Mhm.
and their idea, and they've they've fucking talked about like how it's working as intended or blah 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 whatever. And
That's a meme on the Apex Reddit, by the way. But yeah,
it's
continue.
but yeah, to me, it's like it's just a total joke, dude. That the idea that it would match, it's matching Apex Predators with people who have never gotten beyond Platinum 4 in their entire, you know, Apex career of 2.5 years. I mean, we've never tried that hard, but we never have gotten beyond that point, any of us, you know. And to me, it's
Just
just
don't have
like
the time.
it's just
Like if we have the time, I think we will be. But continue.
but
I'm
that's
sorry.
my point. We're like casual players. Why are we playing against the
Yeah.
hardest of the hardcore Apex Predators who play every single fucking day of their life, every minute that they're awake? Like they're playing Apex. These people are so good at this game. Like they literally could kill me with a fucking P2020 from 200 meters away when I have a fucking 3x, you know, 301, you know, fully decked out 301. That's how good these people
Yeah.
are. You know, it's like that shouldn't I shouldn't be in lobbies with them. You shouldn't be in lobbies with them. None of our friend group should be in lobbies with these people. And we are in lobbies with them every single fucking game. Every game. Like it is insane how big of a problem this is, and their lack of initiative to try and fix it or do anything about it. And the guy was saying that if they made tweaks to it, which they do, he says they do make tweaks to it every season, they wouldn't announce this. That's bullshit. I'm sorry. You should be telling us what you're doing, okay? Because we could then give you feedback on what we are seeing. If you were open with the community and actually like communicated with us about this shit, we might be able to fix this problem together. But you decide to do this in, you know, behind closed doors, and you got all the answers. You're Respawn, you got all the answers, you know? And to me, that's just a complete wrong approach with this, because it doesn't work. It hasn't worked ever, in my opinion. Like it's been like this for as long as I can fucking remember, and we've been playing this game since season 4, and we're about to hit season 15. So that's
Mhm.
nearly 3 years of playing this game, and it's always been this way. The only reason it felt good at the beginning is because we had low MMR at that point in time, because we haven't played the game that long, you know? That's the only reason it ever felt good. At a certain point, we crested over a certain skill level, you know, and we have never gone below that, and it's always been this way. We've been playing with Preds for like 7 or 8 seasons in a row, as much as I can remember, and it's like it's super frustrating because I don't know, like, I'm sure we're better than your average player. I mean, you mentioned that you saw the same thing. I was seeing people in the Reddit like talking about their KD ratio, and they're like 0.4, 0.5, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, dude, is that like the average player in Apex? Like, it's like
Yeah,
tons of
and,
people who were saying they were in like Diamond were saying they have like a point 0.6 KD. I'm like, what? Like,
yeah,
what?
and
You know?
and they're getting like tons of likes, which is indicating that a lot of people are around that same,
Hmm.
KD ratio and everything like that. I don't know. I agree with you for the most part. Like when I was reading that, I watched like 2 or 3 videos on it, and then not related to that guy's content. It was another guy's content I was watching where he was just talking about the matchmaking. He did like 500 games, and he went into the mathematics of the shit and everything like that. And it's a shit show. And the reason why it's a shit show right now is because one, they're not accounting for Smurfs. So they think they're doing a good job because they're looking at like Smurf accounts too, right?
Yeah.
That has a huge factor into what's going on. And then two, it's not working as intended because the way that it shifts constantly. The matchmaking shifts constantly. So if me and Justin have 3 good games, say like it's a joke now in our friend group. Okay, we won one game, and we were just joking before we found this shit out. Okay, we won one game. Now we're going to be put in pred lobbies, and that's literally what it is. Like you win one game, and then they bump you up a tier because they're like, oh, so the game's a lot harder now. Or we're gonna make the game a lot harder for you now because you're just apparently that good. And it's like, no, bro. I just so happen to win in one lobby. BRs are 50% fucking luck.
Luck.
Like, let's
Yeah,
just be honest about it.
they are. Yeah.
Um,
Like
so
100%. That's 100% true.
yeah, like BRs are it's 50% strategy. I mean, like, like 30% skill, 20% strategy, and then a whole bunch of other factors. But that 50%, the other 50% is nothing but luck. Like where you land, guns you
What
get.
weapons are there? Yeah, right. How many other
Exactly.
teams land with you? How skilled
Exactly.
those teams are, relative to you? Like that's all luck.
Yeah. And we're fortunate to always have a friend group readily available to play Apex. There are people out there playing this game solo, and I have no idea how they have not
Bro,
uh you know
I feel for you.
yeah, I have no idea. Because I can't play this game solo for more than like 20
No,
minutes
the
and I'm
people
gonna
you get
fucking
matched with are just complete. I don't know. Well,
one
there's like, dude,
example
these memes I see out there too, where people are posting pictures of like, they're they'll be playing and their teammates like level 18, level 50, and then it's them who's like a experienced player who's got like over a level 500 account or whatever. Those are their teammates, and then they die to a stacked predator squad, all with 20 kill badges and 4K damage
and
badges,
it's
and I'm like, oh my god, like this is probably what it would be like if I played solo.
and that's funny because like it's a totally different experience on console to relative to PC. PC, I think the issue is exacerbated, not exacerbated, but escalated times 20 because holy shit, like PC isn't always like PC version of shooters are always inherently more harder, right? So you got to add that on top of the smurfing and everything like that comes along with PC, and it's almost impossible to play solos on PC, in my opinion. Like you have to be good, you have to be a god tier player and the Wheel of Steel to play on PC solo. Um, but yeah, the 3 pred stacks and everything like that. It, I don't understand how they're looking at the data and finding out that it's working as intended when people are literally saying, I would rather go into a ranked lobby than go into pubs because pubs is so fucking sweaty. Why is there like
Yeah.
such aggressive matchmaking on pubs? Like, and I understand I wouldn't want to completely random matchmake or whatever, but there has to be some kind of compensation, bro. Because when I go into pubs, when we go into pubs, we're not trying to be sweaty. Like, we're just trying to play, get a couple kills here and there, maybe get top 5, whatever. Like, when I want to be sweaty, then I play ranked.
Hmm.
It's like the complete opposite now. Like, I feel like both lobbies actually are super sweaty. Even if we play pubs, we're like super sweaty. Even if we play ranked, we're extra sweaty. And it's like I don't know. I just don't.
Well,
I enjoy the game,
yeah.
but it's like the matchmaking itself is kind of fucked, and I don't understand how as a developer. I mean, maybe because and it was one more thing too, that really bugged me the wrong way. And that YouTube creator, he's not the reason I'm bugged about it, but he says it a lot, and it's the general consensus of them and why they don't communicate with this. I am so tired of developers getting um first of all, players, y'all need to stop trolling or like going at these developers that do take the time out their day to reply to us. Like, stop that shit. Because that 1% of that player, that one person out of the 99, you know, common sense questions or nice questions or respectful questions that developer get, all it takes is one person to fuck everything up. And that's literally what's happening. Like every time a developer reaches out, it's always one asshole in the comments like, "Oh, you guys fucking suck." Blah blah blah. Why are you not doing it? And just going off and not getting any good criticism or whatever. But at the same time, on the other side of that, like I said, like 2 weeks ago, developers need to develop a backbone, and you need to understand that not the entire community is like that. Yes, one person may come at you, two people may come at you, but
Yeah, but
out of
part of this is their fault too. They fostered this community, dude, by listening to pros and like the sweaty people with the way they
yeah,
balance the game and change the game. They've developed a community that's sweaty and toxic. Like
yeah,
that's that's what you've
you know what, you're right.
nurtured, you know? Like
I can't even debate that. That's true. Yeah,
so I
like
like, and don't hide behind that when, people are calling you out or want to communicate with you. It's like, I mean, like we're not being toxic here talking about this, dude. I would love for them to have open for and there's ways to communicate with your community that don't involve going on Twitter or going into Reddit, bro. You can put fucking surveys in the game. Have they ever done that where they put a survey in the game where they ask you questions about things? No. No, they don't do anything like that. They don't do shit like that at all. Like they're fucking this is my issue with them is like they all like I think that it's so fucking annoying because like Respawn, they're a really good developer, dude. They know how to make a great game. They do.
yeah,
And it
they do.
really frustrates me that they don't but for whatever reason with Apex, like they don't want to put the effort in. Like it just feels that way, you know? It's like we've talked about this. Like they're on autopilot with the content. They got a content pipeline. They haven't changed the content pipeline since the fucking game came out. We get a new map every 4 seasons. We get a new battle pass and a new character every season. We might get a new gun every season, maybe. And that's it. That's the content pipeline. And then you get like an event or two every season, you know? And one of those is like a
Yeah,
collection event where you get a new heirloom. That's the content pipeline. They haven't diverted from that since they introduced arenas to the game. And no offense, but arenas isn't like a mode that I think most of the community cares about. You know, like I would bet if they like you look at the numbers, it is severely underplayed compared to the main BR.
yeah,
And that's my problem with them is just like I don't feel like they're not putting the effort in to make this game as good as it can possibly be, and that is showing. It shows, you know. The balance might be good, the gunplay might be good, but there are just long-standing issues that have continued to plague this game for its entire lifespan, and they have never done anything about it that has had any effect. The matchmaking is still broken. The fucking audio issues are worse than they have ever been.
oh my
The fucking hacker problem is maybe not as bad right now, but it doesn't matter because you have Smurfs. Like, so it might as well be hackers like in your fucking lobbies. So it's just I don't know. This is my thing. Like they've designed this game in a bubble. Like it's like they don't even look at other video games the way other video games do things. Because we were talking about this in the chat the other day, right? Like how could they fix the Smurf problem? It's like there are things they could do to mitigate the Smurf problem. You can do the phone number thing that Blizzard's doing with the account linking right
god,
now. You could do placement matches for anybody playing ranked. That's a thing that most games do when you have a ranked system. You play 10 placement matches, and based on that, you get put in a fucking tier, you know, based on how good
yep,
you are. That's where you start. And the rank system is such that if you don't deserve to be in that, you will fall because you will lose games, you know? Like that's how it works. But or if you're too low, you will climb because you're better than the people you're playing against. But see, their matchmaking is so broken. I don't think they want to do that, you know? Like I don't think they want to do that because it would expose how bad the matchmaking is, you know?
yeah.
And
And I, I even say to kind of solve it, like even if you don't want to do the fucking phone number thing, right? You might get backlash or whatever. All right, cool. I think that what they should do, which has been out for a while, I think Call of Duty first introduced it, or maybe another game. where you have mercenary mode, right? Where if you're solo, you get matched up with other solos. You can't take a full party in there. It's only solos. Like, from the party lobby perspective. Then once you guys get into the actual game, you're matched up with 3 random players, and those are your team. It's called like mercenary BR or whatever, mercenary trios or mercenary duos. And then you have another lobby to where it's like flex. You got like a regular lobby. You got like 3 lobbies. You got the mercenary lobby. You got the regular trios, and then you have another lobby which is like trios flex, which means that is only designed for people like pre-made parties like us. We would be in the flex queue, right? That's what we would go into because we have pre-made parties. So it's like they can have these things and then separate it to where the matchmaking is less complicated, because the bigger the number, the more complicated the matchmaking is going to be. Like, that's just basic mathematics, the algorithm and everything like that. So if you separate these playlists into different things, and then they have their own algorithms, then you can manage it a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is basic, like, project management 101. I'm not even a project manager, and I understand this. So it's like, I don't understand, just coming from a company perspective, working IT. I mean, you're a higher level than me, so you definitely understand this. Managing certain issues can be rectified by doing certain things, by chopping taking a
Well,
big piece of a pie and
yeah,
then chopping that pie into slices, and then like, all right, so we're gonna chop this slice up, and this is what we're gonna do with this slice,
yeah.
and
Well,
then
yeah.
did
Keep
you
going.
like that? Yeah, yeah, and that's it pretty much. Yeah.
Well, dude, to me, it's leadership, right? If their leadership said, "All right, guys, we're gonna spend half the season putting all as much resources as we possibly can to fix these audio issues," they probably get fixed, but they don't want to do that. And maybe they have done that in the past, and it's just such a hard issue to fix, they can't figure it out. But at a certain point, it just sounded like they gave up. They're just like, "Nah, we're not fixing that," because that's what some of their devs have said publicly. It's like, and to me, that's not an okay answer, and that's a leadership problem at a certain point. They're making the decision as leadership to not fix the issue. To not fix the issue, and we as a community are putting up with it. And I don't know what else to do besides yell about it on our podcast, but to me, it it sucks because we have multiple big issues that have not been fixed. And because the placement match thing is funny because they have it for arenas ranked placement
Yeah, they
matches.
do.
It's
Yep.
already in the game. They've done it for the other mode. Like, why is it not part of the BR? I don't get that. It doesn't make any sense to me, So I don't know. Cause yeah, the way it works in BR is like at the end of every split, everybody gets knocked down. Well, new season specifically, everybody gets knocked down to bronze 4 and you start
I
over.
think that's the worst thing that people that
That is the
game
worst
do.
system I've ever heard for ranked because you're just throwing all the high level players in with all the low level players. You're just throwing them all into a soup, and the low level players spend the first 2 weeks of the season getting obliterated.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, like okay, cool, bro, because that's our thing now. We play ranked after the first 2 weeks, of a new season. Like we don't play ranked until we're a few weeks into the season, which is why we never climb very high because we're wasting 2 or 3 weeks not playing ranked. But I'm sorry, I don't want to play against Preds. I'm not a Predator player. I'm not a Predator level player. I,
Well, could you imagine if League or Dota did some shit like that, where every split or
those
every
games would
split.
not. They would have already died and shut down. I'm telling you right now, they would have died
Exactly.
and shut down. Like their lifespans would not be anywhere near as long as they are. There's
I
no way.
as a gold player in League, you don't even touch platinum. You don't like platinum is a different tier. Each division is almost its own world.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure it's the
That's how
same
it
for
should
fucking
be.
Dota.
That's how it
Yeah.
should be. I'm sorry. You shouldn't be playing with people like I'm going to be honest. Okay, maybe 1 tier I can see, but you shouldn't be playing against 2 tiers above you, let
Yeah.
alone more than that,
No, I agree. I 100% agree. And there's more than enough players to separate it. Like, there's a reason why the player count keeps decreasing. Because it's just not a friendly, it's not a noob friendly game. And
Not at
uh
all.
I just remember what our friend was telling us when, he was at work and he was talking to some people and they're like, he's like, "Oh, what games you guys play?" And they're like, "Oh, we play, Warzone or they said another BR as well. I forgot the other one.
Yeah.
They was like, "Yeah, we play Warzone." And he's like, "Oh, I play Apex." And they looked at him crazy and was like, "Wow, you played that fucking sweaty ass game?" Like, these are normal people. So it's like, yeah, they Apex is like considered the sweatiest game. Like, even other people would tell you like, "Yo, Apex is hard as fuck to get into." I think even Dr. Disrespect said that shit. Like, "Yo, like this game is fucking crazy." crazy. So it's like it's not, and even when I play Apex Legends and I go into other games, I'm inherently sweaty because I've been playing Apex Legends forever. So when
Yeah.
I go into the first person shooter, like those like mannerisms carry over, those actions and the way I play. I'm already getting like top kills because I just played Apex, with you guys. So it's like it's just a weird dichotomy that Apex is in right now. And you're 100% right. Uh, they made this community. Like, season 10 was not like this. I don't remember seeing season 10 being like this. I don't remember when we first started playing it being like this.
It was like
I
this in season 10, definitely.
Oh, it was? Okay. Maybe
No,
it was.
I mean that's what I was saying earlier, dude. We've been playing since season 4. We're like
Shit.
11 seasons in since we started playing. Yeah, seasons
Damn.
4, 5, and 6. I remember being fine for the most. Even 7, I think, was like it was okay, but we hadn't played the game long enough, I think, to get to the point where we are now. Like we crested
Yeah.
a certain skill gap or whatever barrier or whatever in the matchmaking, and we have never uncrested that since. And I feel like ever since season 7, 8, we've been dealing with this issue. Like the
I feel like
matchmaking
we're
shit.
getting punished for being like above average mediocre players. If that makes if that
Right.
makes any
We
sense.
are. No, we totally are, dude. No, because I mean,
Oh.
we're we're not we're not that good. Like, I don't know. I don't feel like I don't feel like we are that good. When we're going up against true preds, you can tell. You know, like we get outclassed.
Yeah.
Um, and that is not that's not a hacker thing or whatever. It's just a skill thing. They're better than us by a significantly wide margin that we will never bridge. You know, like we don't have the time to invest in the game to bridge that gap. Um,
Yeah, and I just feel like games punish the middle class. I guess they're the middle class of gamers. Like, either you're like super casual, which I guess is quote unquote low class, but I don't want to say that. So you got the super casual, or you got the super, elite high streamer slash pro players, and it's like the people in the middle, we're fucked because it's like either we got to move towards the super catery side, or we got to or the casual side, or we have to move towards the super fucking hyper aggressive side. And it's like, why can't there just be a side where it's like, this is a fun game to play with me
yeah.
and my boys, So I don't know.
Well,
I think gaming is just losing that aspect of like
yeah.
the casual the casual gamer, but the casual, like, I'm good at video games, but I'm not stupid, but I'm also not a fucking sweaty pro streamer guy person,
Yeah.
So
Well, all this to say that we've said this before. Any game that can come in and compete with Apex and be fun, um, I
yeah,
will
I'm
get.
jumping ship.
I'm jumping ship. That's why Overwatch 2, it's on the radar right now. So I'll play it. Montrell and we're gonna play it some more. We'll have some more thoughts on that next week probably. But okay. So in terms of what I've been playing, I'll get through this quick. Apex, of course. So I re-downloaded Genshin Impact, Montreal, last week.
Yeah, I saw that. I was gonna say something, but continue.
Okay, okay. I really like this game, but I've been playing it, and I'm just like, man, I'm already back into you're already back into the just like the daily grind and all that stuff, and the game is super fun. I don't know how much I'm really gonna play it though, because it's just like I'm into it, and there's so much more content now than the last time I played it, which it's been a year, almost 2 years since I played this game. So there's a ton of content. There's 2 entire regions that they've added to the game, and then dozens of fucking character quests and shit, and side quests and new things and all sorts of shit, events and stuff. that they've added to the game since. And you know, I'm like, man, it's just such a significant time investment. I don't know if I'm in the right time right now to get back into this game. Um,
Okay.
I
Did they
now
change anything with like how to acquire characters, or is it still the same like
no
loot box card system
same
thing?
gotcha system. That's never gonna change.
Okay.
The gotcha system is the same. Now, the whole thing with this game, though, the whole way, this game is easy. This is an easy game. It's not hard to beat this game to do like 98% of the content in this game with free characters or whatever you happen to pull from, the gotcha pull thing, whatever you luck
Yeah.
pull. Um so it's not like the game is like punishing in that regard. You don't have to pull. There's no like the pulling thing is just like a fucking degenerate you've got a gambling problem thing, which I've talked through before for myself. So you don't
Yeah.
have to do any of that shit for this game. You can beat majority of the content in this game with the free characters. And to be honest, one of the main character that you start the game with actually gets all is eventually going to get access to all the elements, which is really cool. But one of the forms that character has right now, I think the Electro form is like one of the best characters in the game apparently. Like
Okay.
so it's not as good as some of the best shit you can get from the gotcha, but it doesn't need to be. That's my point. It's like 98% of this game's content is tuned in such a way that is easily beatable with a free to play party. There's that 2%, which is the Spiral Abyss, which is like super hard challenging shit that they put in the game. That's for where you really like test your party's metal. So that's what that's there for. But so for me, I've just really just been playing around. There's like an event going on. I've been kind of doing that for the most part. But I don't know. I'm like playing this, and I'm like, man, should I just be playing The Last of Us Part 2 right now? Probably. But it's like I just enjoy the game though. I think the game is just really fun to play. It's like a really enjoyable game to play.
Yes, that's
From
one part that The Last of Us 2 has really tackled, and I'm actually upset that a lot of people don't talk about what you just said more. Like it's a really fun video game as well as the story. But continue. I'm sorry.
so Last of Us Part 2, I just started it earlier today. And I'm only, I don't know, an hour and a half in. So I'm in the early part of the game where you're still like in Jackson. But I'm really looking forward to getting further into this game. Dude, I'm just like I mean playing through part 1 again just reminded me how good part 2 really is. I can't wait to get to Seattle. Like the encounter design there is just so much more, like there's so much more scope to it. Because dude,
Yeah.
I heard some people talking about part 1 and the remake of part 1 and some influencers in the gaming industry, and they were talking about it like that the game's design is still so far and above so much shit that's out today, and I completely disagree. Frankly, I think part 1 is a game that is severely showing its age at this point. The
Yeah.
story is still phenomenal and the presentation is phenomenal, but the gameplay is severely lagging in terms of that's why I was so disappointed that they didn't do anything with it in that regard, because the game, I'm sorry, part 1 just doesn't hold up to modern video games, like in my opinion. And Naughty Dog proved that themselves. Like part 2 is such a step above part 1 in terms of gameplay that I just like I don't understand how people are saying that part 1 is the better game or is still
I
at just as high of a bar, because to me it's not even close. Like it's
I
just like
still think people are salty about like one
what
situation that
happens what
happens in
happens in
part
the
two.
game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, what
Yeah.
happens. I totally agree with you. I think the conversation around this game is just not objective in any way. Like no one has the ability to be objective about it, because
Hmm.
I think if we were looking at this in a normal situation, I think most people would, I think the consensus would be that part 2 is the better game. Part 1 might have the better story, but part 2
Yeah.
is the better game overall,
Yeah.
because to me that is so clear. It's like not even a discussion. Like the movement, the gunplay, the encounter design, the weapons you get, the upgrade trees, all that stuff. And the ambitious things that they did with playing multiple characters in this game, I think was
Yep.
just like I think
And they
they,
played completely different, by the way.
yes,
Like,
they do play different. Yeah, right.
yep.
And I think that is a very It's just disappointing that this game was so divisive, for reasons that are outside of its control. Honestly, it was really because of the leaks that came out and all because of
And the
some.
leaks were totally wrong. In context, they were totally
They
wrong
were
because they were
totally
all
wrong
out of
for the
context.
most part. There was a couple
Yep.
things. There was one true thing that was spoiled that,
Oh
that
yeah,
is the
that
impetus
happened.
for all
Yeah.
the hate,
But
really.
like the one thing that really irritated me is not because of the sexual orientation, but because all the outrage behind it was like, oh, your character's trans, and it's like, even if the character was trans, does that take away from
Right.
the story? Like,
Would it
it
have
was
made any difference in the game?
exactly.
No. It wouldn't have made any difference in the entire game's length, you know?
And that was like totally false. There is a trans character in the game, but you don't play as that
Yeah, and it
character at
isn't it
all.
ironic that that character gets no hate?
Exactly.
Like it's funny. So it totally centers around the character we're talking about, something that they do in the game, and everybody hates that character for it. But I just don't think it's like silly. It's such a silly thing to get angry about. I think this game's story is very underrated. I think personally, I think it's right up there with part one for me, dude. Having just played part one again, I don't think part one's story is as strong as I remember it being, Like it's still
Yeah.
great. It's still
No,
super good,
it's
but
I have to play it again, but from like when I played part two, it has its ups and downs, but it's like good ups and downs. Like it's like a regular movie, like it
yeah.
has its ebb and flows to it. Um, I don't know, bro, but like at the end of the whole thing,
Mhm.
like one character sacrificed so much and you physically see it from like the beginning of the game to like the end. You did all this and it was like the message was there and you're like, fuck, this is a good ass
It was
story.
really
Like
powerful, dude.
it was really powerful.
It was a really powerful to me, it was a really powerful ending. I think a lot of people didn't feel that way. They felt empty, but that's the point. You're supposed to feel empty. That's why it's
Exactly.
powerful to me.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, I think
It
the
was
early part, God, I wish we could talk like spoilers, like
I know.
because
Oh,
like I'm
because
playing
DJ
through
hasn't
the
played it yet. Yeah, DJ hasn't played it
I'm
yet.
playing through
So
the early part of the game, and it's dude, the things you get, like you play as multiple characters in the first section of the game. I think it's really bold of them that they made you play as a specific character early in the game, given what happens soon after that.
Yep. Hmm.
It's I just don't think a lot of games are willing to take those risks, and I hate the fact that Naughty Dog, it feels like they were punished for it. When to me I think it was really bold, and I think it hit home for me. I think it worked perfectly. I think it was a great way to shine a mirror on modern society.
Yeah.
Because that's what it did for me. Like it was an indictment on like not being able to compromise or see what the other side's perspective is on anything, you know?
Well, it was a lot of different messages
Yeah.
in that whole scene, or in the game itself, and I think it was like a reflection. One can say it's like a reflection on gamers and the game industry itself on letting go of the past and everything like that, and
Yeah.
you know all this stuff. And if you hold on to the past and how it can eat you up and everything like that, I mean, it's a lot of good metaphors in there, and that's what makes a good story where you can like go any way with it. But not also the story, but the gameplay was just phenomenal. I don't know, like um
Yeah.
I saw what's that guy's name? Suhi Legend playing it, and the shit that he was doing in it. I mean, I did some of that shit, but I was just like, he went to the next level with it, and I
Well,
was
that's
just like,
kind of
that's
isn't
crazy.
that kind of the point? If somebody like him, right, who's literally getting hired by video game studios to make gameplay showcases for them, did that for The Last of Us Part 2, I've never seen him do it for The Last of Us Part 1. Doesn't that show you that the game is significantly more in depth from a gameplay standpoint,
Yeah,
Um so I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna be playing it over the next few weeks for sure. I mean, this is a long game. This is probably a 25-30 hour game, so
yeah.
this is gonna take me a lot of time to get through, probably. I mean, this might honestly take me to God of War and Tactics Ogre, especially given I'm gonna be out of town next week. So but I'm really looking forward to getting into it. I'm playing the new game plus mode, so I have like all the upgrades and everything still active, but
Okay.
I'm playing on higher difficulty to kind of balance that out. So I am. looking forward to getting deeper into this. If we don't play anything tonight, I will probably be playing this more than likely. So,
All right.
but all right, that's all I've been playing. Actually, I forgot to mention this too. I did finish The Last of Us Part One. I did get the plat. I did
Oh,
play
nice.
through Left Behind, which honestly, I really like that DLC, dude. For the first game.
I actually never played it, so I'm
Okay.
gonna check it out when I buy it when it's used or for Black Friday. I'm gonna play it and
Mhm.
see how good it is and stuff like that. I
Yeah,
heard
dude.
nothing but
No,
good things
it's
for it.
awesome. It's a really cool DLC. It tells you kind of a little bit of Ellie's story before the game begins. So there's some cool stuff there. And then there's like a little there's some it's like split. Like it tells you some stuff before the game starts, and then there's a period in the game within the game story that you get some more kind of fill in for as well. So I think it's a really good DLC. But enjoy the game overall. I like I said though, I think it is definitely showing its age, even with the updates. The gameplay is just dude, it's like I think it gets really monotonous walking around environments like looking for shit, trying to find shit. Because of the way they design the game, it's so obvious when you like compare it to part two because it's the game is like it's like quiet moment combat, quiet moment, combat. There's no like bleed over between those two generally in the game.
Hmm.
So when you're in a quiet moment, you kind of know it. The game like gives you an indicator, like a character will say something or say a line that kind of indicates that you're alone and you're good, and you can kind of walk around and find shit. Or when there's combat, it'll be obvious that it's happening. These things don't bleed over to each other. Whereas in part two, it's a lot more nebulous, where the environments are wider and bigger, so you will be in an area where you think you're in a quiet moment, and then all of a sudden there's enemies. Like you go into a house and oh shit, there's enemies in here. It's like that. The game is just a lot more. You have to be on your toes more in part two, in my opinion. And the other thing is, in part one, I always forget this, but this is something I remember playing through it again because in Left Behind they do this in two different encounters, and that's the only time they do it in the entire game. Is encounters where you fight infected and humans at the same time, and you can have them fight each other. That only happens two times in the Left Behind DLC at the very end of it, and it's all over The Last of Us Part Two. Those kind of encounters are like literally all over the game, and
Hmm.
it's a huge difference in the way the gameplay feels. It feels so much more fun to me because the way you can manipulate the battlefield and like move around the battlefield and kind of keep the enemy's eyes off of you. Whereas in most of part one, it's literally you're fighting one or the other. It's either infected or humans. They're not together, and you fight those in very specific ways, and that's it. It's so the game like feels kind of boring in that regard, a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So, whereas part two is just way more opened up. There's a lot of encounters where they're both together there, and you can kind of manipulate them. Um, I'm still thinking of the end of the game where you're on that island, and there's just so many fucking set piece battles that are fucking insane. Like I cannot wait to get to those again. That is like one of my favorite sections in the game. So yeah, more to talk about there. But Last of Us Part One, good, not worth $70. Definitely not at this point. But all right, Montrell, let's get into our one news story for this week. Like we said, there's not a lot of news. I don't know how much we're really going to talk about this, but it's definitely noteworthy and worth discussing. So, Microsoft's deal to purchase Activision is facing a lot of scrutiny. It has recently been approved in Brazil, which was one of the big
Hmm.
battlegrounds that happened. That happened a few weeks ago. However, the EU and the UK are not as open to this deal going through. So um, there was a kind of a statement, I don't know, like a report almost from the Competition and Markets Authority in the UK today. I think this was today actually, that they released, and they were talking about the impact of this deal on PlayStation and other rivals, and they are saying that they are concerned that this deal will harm PlayStation and other multi-game subscription offerings, as Microsoft may withhold Activision Blizzard content from them.
Hmm.
And they're also concerned that they may use Activision Blizzard alongside other Microsoft services to outcompete rivals such as Google, Amazon, and Nvidia in the game streaming space. Um,
That's
and
already
they're
happened.
There is a realistic prospect of a substantial lessening of competitive competition in gaming consoles, multi-game subscription services, and cloud gaming services. They said, and Sony, kind of added on to this. They have been lobbying hard, in all over the place, really, against this, but they are significantly, kind of pushing back against this deal. They do not want this deal to happen. They are very, very concerned about the idea of Call of Duty being pulled off of PlayStation. And Microsoft continues to say that they are not going to take it off. They're going to have it in perpetuity on PlayStation. They do not want to remove it. But then we had the thing a few weeks ago where Jim Ryan kind of came out publicly and was like, look, they only guaranteed it to us through like 2026 or something. It's like, and beyond that, it's like, whatever, dude, So I mean, Montreal, what do you make of all this? Do you think there's some smoke here that this is actually kind of in trouble? Like, this deal may not actually happen at this point.
I mean, obviously the lobbying and I mean the political aspect of it, I think it's all bullshit. Like whatever. But just from a gamer side of perspective,
Yeah.
so I'm not really gonna comment on too much. Well, I guess I have my opinions on that as well. But like just from the gamer side, how this affects us, I think this is actually a good thing. I Microsoft very well can just say fuck off Sony like anytime they want to. They
Once
don't
it's once
have
it's
to.
once it's approved, yes.
Yeah, and they don't have to uphold their words. There could be some executive that comes in and is like, "Why are we doing this? Get rid of this shit. Like,
Mhm.
let all the players come to us." So it's always there because we got to remember, guys. Like, um, Phil Jackson, Jesus, Phil Spencer is not going to be there forever. So someone else, we can get another Don Matrick that comes in
Right.
there. It's
Right.
like, well,
Right.
everything is coming over to us, and then just close off everything, and then corner the market. So I actually agree with the EU for this. As much as I hate Activision Blizzard or Activision in particular, and I wanted like some overhead, some other overhead for them. Unfortunately, this isn't the way, and it's like, what is the way? So I don't know that way, but I know that this is for healthy competition. Now, in the same sense, this is bullshit from Sony. Sony's just mad because they couldn't buy Activision Blizzard. Like that's what it is. Um, and I mean they do the same shit all the time. They're not going to get those exclusive deals. Like where was this when you guys were getting those exclusive deals and all that other
Well,
shit like
yeah,
that?
like they literally have ads running right now for COD exclusive content. Literally Call of Duty exclusive content on PlayStation. Like,
Yeah,
so
exactly. So it's like it's the same sense, but this is in a bigger sense. And I understand why Sony is scared. But I think besides riding the Sony dick that players are doing now, because everyone like hates Microsoft, like Microsoft is the big boogeyman. I think we need to think outside the console wars and think how bad this acquisition may be for gaming in
yeah.
general.
Yeah.
Um, because like they're right, they're on a corner sector. I didn't even think about the Game Pass thing. I was just thinking about Activision Blizzard as a whole, how they can corner that market. That's such a huge fucking market to corner. Um,
Yeah.
because they have a lot of things. And then what if EA is like, hey, we'll sell ourselves for like 2 billion. I mean, of course they're not. They're worth way more than that. But like, what if they do something like that? And Microsoft's like, well, fuck, that's chump change for me. I'm about to buy you. So I mean, not only do they have Bethesda, they have Minecraft, they'll have Activision Blizzard, some other studios, and then let's say they get fucking EA. They have that's almost the literal entire market under the Xbox umbrella. Besides some Eastern studios and stuff like that. So I think this is a good move. Regardless of how you feel politically about it and the backhand sleaziness of it. I think we win. The gamers win at the end of the day because of this ruling, if that or because of this scrutinization that's coming out. It's not a ruling yet, but I'm glad this is being brought up and brought to the forefront.
Yeah, I think my concern with this the whole time hasn't been the short term. It's always been the long term. Like 20 years from now, what does this mean for video games? Because yeah, sure, they might keep COD on PlayStation for 5 years, or even 10 years, but there's a point where I don't think that's going to be true anymore. Maybe COD won't be that big of a franchise at that point. We don't really, there's not really a way to know. But the thing is, Activision right now, I mean, they are the biggest third party publisher. out there. Period. They're bigger than EA. They're bigger than Take Two. They're bigger than Ubisoft. They're bigger than Square Enix, certainly. You know, so for Microsoft to acquire something that large, you know, I think is it's eyebrow raising. There's no way to like there's no way for Microsoft to spin this, which they do try. I'm going to read some more quotes here because this is interesting. They're like taking the fucking gloves off in this, but um let's see, that they said that if every single Call of Duty player on Sony's console would switch to Xbox, the PlayStation gamer base remaining would be significantly larger than Xbox. Then um, they said that there were over 280 first and third party exclusive titles on PlayStation in 2021, which was nearly 5 times as many as Xbox. Which I mean, they're starting to tell themselves a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is a pure quote. In short, Sony is not vulnerable to a hypothetical foreclosure strategy, and the referral decision incorrectly relies on the self-serving statements by Sony, which significantly exaggerates the importance of Call of Duty to it and neglect to account for Sony's clear ability to competitively respond. End quote. So I understand
That's a
some of
good
that.
point. That's a
Yeah,
good point.
I mean, while true, I think Xbox is trying to downplay the importance of Call of Duty a little bit too much, though,
Yeah, they are.
because
They definitely are.
no, because Sony's not just gonna poop out a fucking first person shooter that suddenly competes with Call of Duty. That's impossible. It's never gonna happen. You know.
Hmm.
So that's been Sony's point this whole time. So I don't think that Sony is, you know, their concerns are completely unfounded here. But I see the hypocrisy of their side of things on one angle. But then Microsoft on the other side, though, is like they're trying to say whatever they can to convince these regulators to let this deal go through. So I don't. That's the thing. I'm not for these kind of acquisitions. I don't care if Sony was doing this on the other end. You know, I wouldn't want them to acquire this either. I'd rather Activision stay third party and just be an independent entity. You know, but that's probably not going to happen. I still think this deal's going to go through. I will say this does throw a lot of um, uncertainty into that. Because even in the US, I mean, the US hasn't exactly been totally on board with this either. This has gotten a lot
Yeah.
of scrutiny there as well. So
Hmm.
we're going to see how this plays out. I mean, we've got several probably months here. I mean, because the EU said they have a deadline of November 8th to come to a decision about this, whether they're going to allow the deal to go through or continue to investigate beyond the 8th of November, like to go into a deeper investigation period. So we shall see what comes of that. But it's very interesting. It's interesting how
Yeah.
much scrutiny this is getting.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I didn't even think about it because I mean, we talk about the news all the time, and I honestly didn't even think about it from that perspective of how they can corner the market like that. Um, I think this is gonna. I think it should. I think personally, this should favor. It should favor Sony more, but
Hmm.
I think the decision is going to go Xbox's way. However, I do feel like it's like a 60-40 thing, right? I think 60% of what Sony's saying or Sony in the UK are saying is completely correct. Or I'd say 70% actually is completely correct. Xbox can corner the market. 30% of what they're saying is completely true from Xbox's side of point of view, where Sony definitely has the capability to make something. They can probably get a hit off of it. I mean, they have Destiny, but I mean that's Destiny, but they do have a award-making first-person shooter studio in their bag, which is Bungie, and Bungie can respond with something, you know. So they have the tools. It's just like they just gotta, kind of hit it out the park and in a couple of tries, or maybe one try, or a couple of tries.
Hmm.
But they do have the tools necessary to make ample competition to Call of Duty. Because I'm pretty sure people, you already have a massive player base on PlayStation. Like that's undeniable, in my opinion. Um,
Yeah, it's probably two
and
to one.
yeah, and um, I don't see that changing in the near future. It may change, but not in the near future. It may be one of those situations where it was like the sixth generation where PlayStation 3 caught up to the Xbox at the end of the generation and actually beat it. So, or Xbox 360 rather, and actually beat it. So so I don't know. I think both sides have points, valid points, but I'm leaning more towards this getting strike down. But in reality, I think this is going to pass. I'll be surprised if the United States actually, because we haven't stopped monopolies in a while. I think the last monopoly we stopped was like, uh, was it Ameritech or something like that, or AT&T, where we split them up and now they're back together again. Like,
Wasn't didn't Time Warner almost get bought up by AT&T and that got stopped?
yeah, you're right. You're right. Yep, that did get stopped.
But then
And I
some
think they
other big
they
ass conglomerate bought like merged with them. So
yeah, I think it was a Discovery actually.
yeah.
Discovery.
Oh, you're right. It
And now,
was.
yeah. So but yeah, even Time Warner, they had the huge thing. They had like Spectrum, Xfinity, and everybody else under one umbrella, and then they split them up, I believe.
Yeah.
So, but they rarely do that, right? And then another conglomerate comes and purchases them, and then they don't do anything about that. I mean, look at, like I said, Discovery, which is still fucking bonkers to me how rich they are. I just
Yeah.
never knew Discovery was like that. But anyway, um, yeah, I don't know. This is gonna be weird. It's gonna be a weird time. We'll see. You say in November, correct? That's when their decision is gonna be final.
November 8th.
November 8th. Yeah, I'm
Well,
actually
it'll either be a yes or we need to investigate more and it will
we
be pushed
investigate
back.
more. It
So
might get
it's
pushed
not a
back.
yes no situation.
Okay, yeah, it probably get pushed back some more. And I think the next situation
That's what
that
I think
arises,
too.
it will be a yes no.
Yeah, I just
Um,
think Microsoft's got to be careful now, though, because they were talking about they have more things they want to acquire, right? Like, what else do they have waiting in the wings? Because if they keep buying shit up, I think it's going to continue to before this deal goes through. It like they got to be careful, man. I don't think they can announce anything else, especially if it's big.
yeah,
You know,
they can't do anything else anymore. They have to
because
shut up for a while.
yeah, because that will continue to draw the eyeballs that hey, there's a little bit too much consolidation here happening here with this one specific company buying all this
And
shit up. So
And I think that's the point. Even if Sony loses this battle, I think they're evidently going to win the war because the next acquisition that does come up, whatever it be, whether it be Deep Silver, I'm sorry, what's the Embracer, whether it be
yeah,
Embracer, um, EA or whoever, like Sony's gonna be like, hey, remember they already have Activision Blizzard, they already have fucking Bethesda, they already have Minecraft Studios, they already have all these people that can corner the market. What else do they need? Where's the
yeah.
competition at?
Well, that's the
So,
reason I would veto this honestly is that because yeah, Sony's gonna then turn around and use it as ammunition to buy something, right? And be like,
yep,
look, you let them spend 70 billion to buy Activision, and you're gonna tell us we can't spend 10 to buy Embracer or whoever the fuck, or the 5 billion it would take to buy Square or something,
yep. hmm
like
what
no,
I
I don't,
think Microsoft should do to skirt this, maybe acquire some kind of partnership where Activision is still their own entity, but they have a partnership
yeah,
with
but I think they would though. See, this is the thing. They're not gonna they like Microsoft's too big to merge with Activision, right? They would never do
yeah,
that. So that's the problem. If it was a merge, it might be a different thing, but there's no other way for them to do this other than buying them. So yeah, sure, they'll be their own independent entity still, probably, but it doesn't really change where the chips fall ultimately for things. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see where it goes. I mean, we're going to continue to follow this as we have been. I'll be interested to see what happens. I don't like the idea that this will go through and then Sony will feel the need to respond. It's just this war of escalation, and then all of a sudden there's no independent studios left, out there, because there was like Bandai Namco was talking about this like a month ago or a month or two ago, where there was some comments from somebody at their company where they were saying, I think this might have been an earnings report or something, that they were having issues finding contracts to like make games. Um,
really.
yeah, because of all the consolidation. Like they couldn't find studios they could work with, to like make shit, because there's just so much, like everybody's bought, at this point. Like so many teams are bought or spoken for. So they were having issues like finding people to work
Hmm.
on games. Um
Yeah,
so
that's very bad actually. Holy
yes,
shit.
it is for sure. So yeah, we will continue
Yeah,
to
I mean
monitor.
that's why I was getting upset about. I mean, we talked about this I think 2 or 3 years ago. It was a topic of the show actually, and we were talking about double A developers and middleware,
Mhm.
and how like it's just dying. We saw a brief resurgence of it, like at the beginning of this generation, and at the end of PS4 generation. Uh, but yeah, like now it's starting to die again because everybody's doing acquisitions and shit like that. So I'm with you. I'm 100% with you. I just hope this doesn't, because this will change. I think this will change the flow of video games that a lot of people don't understand. I think it's one of those things that's like deep seated, but it can grow very rapidly.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
All right, Montrell. Well, that's it. All we got for news. Is there anything else you'd like to discuss before we call it for the week?
No, our friends are arguing in the group chat. I don't know if you've been
Jesus
paying
Christ,
attention.
dude. Yeah, I know. Like Jed and Brad have been going back and forth for like the last hour, like 100 messages or some shit. Like they're attacking each
Yeah,
other's character. This is like I don't know. Like they sound like Sony
they're
and Microsoft right now.
yeah, they're talking about BRs versus the nuance of BRs versus the
Versus
nuance of
arena,
arenas.
yeah, arena
Yeah,
shooters, yeah.
yeah.
Which that's a
I
topic,
don't.
but
Yeah, that's a whole different topic, and I don't feel
we'll
like
probably
talking
talk
about that
about
right
that
now.
next week when we talk about
Yeah,
Overwatch 2 more. But
yeah.
all right, everybody, we're gonna call it here. So if you like this episode, please like the show, review the show, subscribe to the show, on whatever feed you're listening to it on, and please share it with your friends. If you'd like to interact with us on Twitter, you can do so at iTrap for the Hokage for Montrell. That is the number 4, not the word. I'm at Thundernut01, and the show is at the Player's Take. If you'd like to send us a question, you can do so on Twitter, or you can send us an email to playerstake01@gmail.com. And that is going to be it for us this week, guys. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we will see you next week.